Hello there, and welcome back to What's in My Drawers. This is the volume, we'll call it the 921 edition, and that's for our date. What's in My Drawers Golf Talk, because old club makers are tremendous pack rats, and we talk about, well, what was in the drawers and on the shelves. And now that we've gotten by a lot of that, we are going to talk about, well, fittings, repairs, and golf equipment opinions. And that's how we're going to get started for the day. So getting started, how about Bryson DeChambeau? Let's start with that one. Holy smokes. And, -6, -3 on the day, just a golfing display, man. And the guy just went after it like he should have. Just like he calculated. And more power to him, right? And more power to him. Putting machine where everybody else was having trouble. And I believe he's using that sick putter still. Again, well done, Mr. DeChambeau, right? And he didn't necessarily lap the field like a Dustin Johnson, but he didn't lose it like everybody else did. And that's what really got me. I was listening to the golf channel, the on XM radio, Sirius XM, and two sets of guys, as soon as, because he did really good, they're talking about, oh, people hit the ball too far. Oh, they got to do all these different things. Oh, we got to do all this stuff. Yet when Dustin Johnson virtually laps the field, well, yeah, he's just a really good player. Really? How about, he got Dustin by 11 strokes when it was all said and done. I mean, the guy had a day, nobody else did. Let's give the man some credit. And he's probably one of the most studious guys ever when it comes to the game. To the point where it can get weird. However, he does it for preparation, and preparation tends to win a lot of things. So I say give the man some credit. Now, the funny part is I'm just wondering how many single-length irons got ordered today. How many got ordered today? That would be that'd be something to find out. So that was I think that's pretty cool. All right, on to some more golf news. So we'll take care of it right now. So if you guys if you don't mind, like and subscribe this video. If you're not a subscriber yet, subscribe to the channel. That way you'll see when more of the videos come in. And I do have videos. All of a sudden, I'm bombarded with all kinds of subject material. And tomorrow's subject is finishing a bore-through iron, right? Bore-through iron, showing you how we go through that. We've done a lot of drivers, just never an iron. We talk about the goings-ins and the finishing technique, which is quite important. And then right after that, we're going to have this. I'm going to show you this one. So I got the new Big Berthas in. Okay. Good looking club. I mean, a really good looking club. It is, I can show it to you like that, and you have no idea of representation. However, I will give you something close. This is a Mizuno. This is the new Mizuno Select for lefties, and this is more in the player's size, right? And then there's this one. So there's not a whole lot. We're not missing a whole lot there. So it's not extraordinarily big, but it is and what they gave up in size, they made up in this and some other stuff that they got going on in the head. Now, what's the topic I'm talking about? All right, so Callaway, as these were hitting the door, Callaway sent an email saying, "Whoops, these are running a little light, guys, and you need to add tape to them." I said, okay. And they said, how much? And I went and, well, of course, I've got the facilities for this. So I weighed them, and they're about 10 grams light. So 10 grams is a good round figure. And when I weighed it, I was like, well, what I would be looking for in an iron, it'd be heavier still, but they wanted them light by design. So, okay. So 10 grams. So that's what I did. And if you can't really make it out, there. Can you see? I put 10 grams of weight right there, all right in there. And I've done it to 3 of them so far. And there's the lefty version of it, a little bit more gross. Anyway, so the next video that's coming out after the iron is going to be, you know, when everybody talks, oh, and hit the ball further, do you need more weight behind the ball? And it's kind of unique in the fact that we normally don't get super light heads. We get standard heads, and then we have to heavy them up. So this kind of goes the other way when you can say, hey, we have a very light head. What happens when you get to standard? What would that do? So that's going to be kind of a cool topic. And there is a change. I was kind of surprised, but it was a change. And that's a good thing from a fitting perspective. So warn you guys right now, if you guys go and you have a thing and you have to hit a big Bertha, you can ask them if they have the new model that came in or if they have the light model, and you can really just shock them and do that. So that would be very cool. And today, Mr. UPS delivered McGolf. All of its Mizuno came in. All its Mizuno came in. And Mr. McGolf got himself a surprise. Look at this guy. For all you lefties out there, let's see if I can get it to center in. Here we go. There we go. The lefty select Mizuno in the Tour Forged category. Now, why is this special? Well, this is the 5-iron that looks more like a hot metal. And I'm here to tell you, Chris, if you're even thinking about watching this thing, this is one cool club head. I would have a whole set of these, and it's basically a hot metal pro. This thing is slick. All right, and to kind of give you a transition, lefties, this is the 6-iron. That's what it goes into. All right. But most importantly, and look at the butter knife top line on that bad boy. The most important thing, and the thing I tried to convince Mr. Vauchel to do last year, is this one. They're making gap wedges. They're making a gap wedge. Holy moly. Look at this. Look at this guy. All right. Nice, wider sole. I mean, it's a good basic golf club that you have to be a pretty good ball striker to hit, but it comes in a gap wedge. That's something new that Mizuno has not done. All right, and they're taking the lofts to heart. Now these things play a little bit weak, so but they're only about a degree weak. So when I go to put them together, we're gonna make them a degree stronger, so I can not lose my distance. I think that should be pretty good. That might be a one heck of a video of putting together a set of these guys and doing it for me. I just got to decide on a shaft. And the whole thing on the shaft is on the last time, Brandon Mathias, I think that was his name. He talked about a colored Nippon wedge shaft. And I went and looked, and it came in a black and a green. All the blacks were gone. I looked at the green. Now keep in mind, you see the green that's down here that's floating across. It's a little darker than that, but I'm all about green. That was how we started everything. Everything in here was green and gray, green and black. Holy smokes. I like green. And I got 3. I got 3. They came in different weights, which I really, really like. A 105, 115, and I believe a 125. And I got in the middle. I probably should have went to the 105, but I don't know if they had them anymore. Anyway, I got the 115, so we're going to build another set of wedges. I think I'm going to go with a different company this time. The Mizunos are good, but those are special made with special purposes, special feelings to stay in a bag or be mounted somewhere else. So that's the way that one goes. So we got through all. That was pretty good. We got through quite a bit. We did as far as repairs and things went, it's still golf season. I'm repairing all kinds of broken stuff, and it's funny to come through. The latest of which, I thought I had a broken hybrid, and it turns out that all we need to do is tighten it down. So if you guys are finding yourself with a rattle or something, the first thing you might want to do, if it's adjustable, tighten it down, right? Tighten it down. All right. That got us about 10 minutes. Let's see what we got here going first. We got Jack. Mexico. Nice. San Felipe. All right. Found an old PCS journal. Holy smokes, dude. Oh, what were we doing back in 2006 with the PCS? You know, I've got a whole slew of those. Bob Dodds gave me some, and the older ones, the next generation before those, I got a whole slew. I probably ought to pick those out and show you what the club makers of old used to look like. I think I did that once. That was back when I had hair, Jack. Oh, not too bad. All right, Henry, what do we got here? Compare the MCC4 Plus to the DTX. You live in South Louisiana. Whoo, that's got to be hot. Hey, out of the storm, number one, are you doing all right with the storms? Because you guys are getting hammered down there. All right, so I happened to see that as I was getting ready to set up, and boom. So first things first, this is the Golf Pride MCC4. Let's do it like this. Golf Pride MCC4. Okay. It's a half corded grip, half cord this way, and a tactile rubber this way, where this is the Pure Grip DTX. And you can see that there is certainly a much different pattern here. All right. I call this akin to the truck tire. It just feels like you're grabbing a truck tire when you're doing that. Now, what is the difference? Well, the type of rubber, this is pure, what they call it, it used to be EDM rubber. It's the kind of rubber that you find in the weather stripping of your car, only a different durometer. All right. So it's rubber. Not a bad, and made in the USA. Okay. And a super duper aggressive tread right here. Now, it is a standard taper, so fatter here, thinner here, where the MCC4, it does not taper as much. Now, I like these. This is what's on my club, green, obviously, and I like these. Now, why do I like them? Because I have the sweaty hands, but I don't live in an area that's massively humid like you are. But I do like the fact that the corded grips the backhand, and it doesn't tear up your front hand, the one that's ungloved. Now, if you suffer a bunch from the purely sweaty hands and you're down in there where it's massively humid, you may want to consider this one. I don't see it getting slick. However, in either case, you want to clean them. You get like that tour towel, and I've showed this on other ones. We carry what's called a club glove towel, and it is a microfiber in squares, has a hole in the middle so it can just sit right down on an iron instead of having a hook that jabs you in the back. And you get that as hot as water as you can, and after about 2 or 3 rounds, you just do like that on the grip until it squeaks, and it'll be good by the time you're done. The first one will be done by the time you're done with the last one. So, I mean, if you're not suffering real bad, this is tried and true for sure. If you are suffering extraordinarily, and you're just all kinds of in it, then I would go with this guy. And that's how I would do it. All right. Doug from Florida. Doug, how are you doing down there? You guys are the ones getting hit with storms, but hey, thanks for asking. Oh, and I should have said this at the very beginning, but this is a bit of a different episode of What's in My Drawers, because Mrs. McGolf is in Tennessee. And, there she is. So she's telling everybody right down here. And I said, hey, while you're enjoying yourself, do a login and enjoy the spoils of technology and see what you can get a hold of outside of that. And she said she would try. So apparently that's so good enough. Here we go. Doug's got a Kurokage, and hitting the ball in the fairway, but I have to swing really hard to get any distance. What do you suggest? If you're hitting a Cobra head and it's an iron, right? It's an iron. a couple of things can happen. Number one is the iron shaft may very well be too stiff, because if you're finding the fairway, it sounds like the length is correct. So you might go a little bit lighter in the shaft, maybe even a little more flexible to get you a little bit more snap into the ball. That's one way of doing it. The other way is, depending on the type of Cobra head that you have, if it has a very large sole, you might think about increasing the loft maybe 2 degrees. And that will get you some extra distance and down the path, especially if you feel like you don't, if you have to swing really, really hard and you're coming out of your shoes or whatever, that's probably a bit much. So maybe something lighter and more flexible is truly what you want. But you could, make the loft get a little bit stronger, or to get the best of both worlds, do both, right? You can do both. Mr. Phil, how are you, sir? Thank you for tuning in all the way over there in Scotland. And again, here we are. Well done. My one dram. I think I'd like to go back over and visit Belvini one day. All right. Were you guys able to get out and play? What'd you guys shoot? After my trip to Kentucky with some friends, I've been invited to a whole bunch of other tournaments, and we went and played one for the Shriners this last weekend. And the Shriners, if you guys don't know, is an organization that deals a lot with kids and dealing with families with kids and getting them taken care of. And that tournament raises a lot of money. There was 2 teams of 4 on every tee box. And it made for a super duper long day. And if you're following me on Twitter or whatever, you saw it turned out to be a really good picture at the end of the day. There's Robin. Cody's in Ohio. Where are you going? Sean Kelly. What do you say, Sean? What's going on? Anything good? Willard's back. How you doing, sir? And there's Joe from Leeds again. Again, thank you guys over in the UK in that neck of the woods for staying up late. Holy smokes, that's awesome. All right. Travis, New Jersey. Okay. I had a very good buddy in the Navy from New Jersey, and I always used to get him with, "What exit do you live off of?" He hated that. All right. Have I ever worked with a professional long driver? Yes. Was he much of a professional? No. But he was one. And the funny part was, he wasn't the fastest swing speed guy I've ever seen in the shop. Kind of a story. There, outside of professional baseball, they have out here what's called the Pioneer League. And the Pioneer League is for guys that may or may not be under contract, but they may not be good enough to get in that single A league. They're still working hard, but they're just not quite good enough to get there yet. And that's where they end up. And we have one, and it reminds me so much of, it's not the Kevin Costner movie where they're out there and it's just so much like that. It's not even funny. Anyway, this gentleman came in and he was from there, and this was probably 10 years ago now. And this guy had 145 mile an hour swing speed. And my net was on a wooden floor at the time, and he would hit it and the net would move 2 or 3 inches, and I'd have to go back and pull it back in order for it to grab it. And he wasn't prepared for what it takes to make all that stuff happen, because you talk on a whole nother level of 3, 4X, 47, 48 inches long in some cases. If they're really big, maybe 45 and a half. It's a whole nother game. And then you need to get access to heads that are in that 4 and 5 degree area. I know some guys talk about 0, but you get 4 or 5 and you get them hitting on the upswing. Jeez, oh Pete, they can mesh at a mile. So that's it. Here you go. There's Jim checking in from Redemption checking in from Indiana. Well done, sir. Thank you for showing up. Matt, hope as well. So you did get out this time. Good for you. 73. That was selling more. Selling more single link sets. I don't know yet. We're going to see it. That normally down here we live in kind of a bubble. It takes about, although Bryson won this week, it'll probably take a week to 2 weeks for people to figure out he was doing single link sets. As far as me selling them direct, no, not really. Although that new Wishon that we have, or the new Sterling, whatever, which one you call it, is actually pretty nice. I was really surprised in the way it turned out. Some hollow body work. It's pretty nice. Now, I have been fixing a lot of the Cobra ones. There's a fella that's got one, and it's just, I just think it might have just been a hurried up glue job, but we're fixing those now. Dave's from Michigan checking in. Well done, Dave. Thank you, sir. South Carolina. Man, we're getting it all over the place. That's awesome. Hey, you got the Golf Pride grips. All right. This is the fellow that won them last week on the giveaway. I'd put, if you just wanted just something a little bit bigger, close to that, Rodney, I just put on between 2 and 3, right? 2 would make it very close to it, depending on the shaft that you're putting on. 3 might be a little bit big, so I'm a little more conservative in grip size, so I would go with, and it depends on the type of tape you're putting on. But if you're using grip tape, use 3. If you're using regular, like brown paper tape, use 2. And that's what I say too, Matthew. That's what I say. Heck with, I love the fact that the guy is different, and he takes a very particular approach to the game, and I just really, really like that about him. So we're pretty good. I like that. There you go. Big fan. Number 8. We're doing number 8, or going to Forge Tech Black. Oh, okay. There was somebody at the door. And well, good. Let us know, Ronnie. Let us know how it works out. That'd be like to hear what they have to say about that kind of stuff. Yeah, he did. He put on what, 30 to 40 pounds or whatever it was, and that's what they were talking about, right, Mike? And they're just giving him down the road because he's different, and more power to him, right? And you watch this guy, and did you hear what this guy was talking about, what he drinks on a day? And about 2 tournaments ago, they had him on there. And these protein shakes that you drink to put on muscle and whatnot, most guys that are true big bodybuilders are drinking 3, maybe 4 a day. This dude's drinking between 6 and 8. I'm like, good night. How in the devil is that guy doing that? It's just crazy, that kind of stuff. All right. Let's see. Let me get back in here. There we go. There's my buddy from Sweden. How you doing, sir? You make any shaft changes this time around? You've been hunting some. I'm wondering what you did. Well, Matthew, I don't know much about the TaylorMade P770s per se, but if they're a truly one-piece forged product, I'd have to give the nod to the Mizuno folks just because they have more experience at it. If they're equivalently done, in fact, I probably got one over here. If they're equivalently lofted, then it becomes basically what do you like? What do you like the look of? Do you like the look of a thinner top line? Because Mizuno will win that battle every day. If the 770 is a hollow body, it's just a different thing altogether. And it's not that it's bad or good, but if you're comparing apples to apples and it's a one piece, I just give the nod to Mizuno. Not that TaylorMade's bad, it's just that I'm more familiar with them. All right, Al, what are we going to do? What shaft would you recommend to replace a ping graphite counterbalance shaft, regular flex like the G410s? Okay. The counterbalance that comes in that ping really isn't that bad. I've ordered a couple of replacement shafts and drivers. They come fully assembled, so it's not like I just get the shaft, but nice little set. If you're looking for a driver, they do make one, and I would also look right here. That the VA shaft is very, very good, and it's very good, and it releases good. You hardly feel it swinging. It's really, really good. If you're just looking for a regular shaft, KBS doesn't quite make a counterbalanced one, not that I'm aware of. But I do like what you will find is if you need something that's a little bit more controllable, that the TGI is a much better way to go for it, would be in my opinion. I've been playing the 95s. I put plenty of 70s in play, 90s in play, and they all work really, really good. So if you're looking for something a little bit more controllable, then yes, I would go with the TGIs. Camilo, what's going on, sir? Thank you for joining us again. Thank God, right? How about that the course clearing up? My son lives in San Jose, and he said that he showed me a picture of his car, and it just looks like somebody just dumped a whole pile of dirt right on it. I don't know, man. What's going on over there is just crazy. So, one length clubs, are they fitted to you? I'm guessing 7-iron length. That will be a lot of consistency. Actually, no, Joe. When they fit, the way we do it here, so the Sterling is actually made to be to an 8-iron, right? It's made to be an 8-iron length, where most of them are truly around 7 because everybody hits a 7 pretty decent, and you can get to that. However, if you need an adjustment, I would say, yeah, they're fitted to you because why not? If you need it to be a half-inch short because you're a shorter person, then fine. In order to get that ball striking capability in there. You do get a lot of consistency, and not the reason why you're thinking. You get a lot of consistency because the iron head's doing the work. The single length it's the same setup, same swing, same effort, same everything, every time, and every iron. And that's how that one works. Now, can the longer irons cause you difficulty? Yes, and I have seen that, and it's because the people try harder because it's already in their mind that the club is shorter, and they have to swing harder to make it go, and then that's when they hit it worse. And that's when I climb in them and I rattle around the gears and I go, hey, you need to rethink this and just relax. And next thing you know, they're smoking it. Now, the other end of the situation is a little different. I do get a lot of reports that the wedges tend to go further, more so than the short iron, than the long irons going shorter, and that's something to contend with as well. So you might have to you probably have to readjust your distances a little bit, but consistency is certainly one of the selling points, and it's easy on you. I mean, it really is. It's just easy on you. All right, David. I have a set of Mizunos with the XR blue graphite shafts. The 5-iron is broken. Any suggestions for replacement that be close to the originals? I'm not sure what the XR blue graphite is, but if it's a stock shaft and it's blue, I would have to know the weight. Let me know the weight. Send me an email at mcgolfshop@roadrunner.com, and let me take a look. Maybe I can ask my rep, but if it's in a JPX, chances are you're going to be closer to something with a little more tip kick, and if it's in a forged component, it probably something just the opposite. In which case, again, the TGI in the right weight category would probably be it for you. Another one would be in graphite. I'm thinking, the Acro shaft. The Acro shaft, if you didn't want to go too exotic, you could do the same thing in the same weight category with their I series. Now they do have a constant weight. If this is a higher end type shaft, they have a constant weight shaft, which I believe has been on tour at least once. And then last but not least, Aerotech. Look at that. I'm over here doing this, and she's busy on a ski lift. Yeah, I would go with, again, just what I said, David. We should be okay. New Hampshire. All right, buddy. Thank you. Opinion on in-low grip for drivers. I don't know what is an in-low grip. In-low grip. I've not heard of those. Maybe I have to look at this up here real quick. Let's see what we got. Let's see if they got something. In-low grip. Oh, these guys. Oh, okay. Kind of a reverse field grip. Not a fan. Unless you're a guy that's just a super hook kind of guy. If you're a super hook kind of guy, then maybe. I understand. I've actually dealt with them once or twice. They're actually got a good feel to them with that crosshatch pattern. But golfers are traditionalists and typically don't go there. After we just said that about Bryson and all that stuff that he was doing, now he does more of a less taper than anything else. And if it's a less taper, and it feels good in your hand, it doesn't get extraordinarily bad, then have at it. But I don't see it work in my neck of the woods down here. I just don't see it working. There he is. He's back. He's back from London. Well done. Thank you, sir. You shot 6 over at Bethpage. That is outstanding. Did you play from the tips, or did you play from where do they tell you to take you one color less and get on there and don't be afraid? But here's a good question. How long did you have to wait to get on? Were you one of those guys that got up at 2 a.m. and slept in the car, or did you already have a time? Be neat to know. Right on, right? And how did you like? You got the new ones now. How do you like the new ones? Let us know. Hi there. I've noticed the plates on the back of my heads of my 900 hot mills are moving a touch. I think that will become an issue. Well, I hope not. And because on the backs of some, I'll give you for instance, this is a new one. All right, so all of this is regular metal, but the badge is right here, and it's just the badge. Now, in most cases, it's very few that change the way they go. In most cases, they're just badges. They're just a thin piece of metal to give it a decorative look instead of being sloppy. And however, some do use them as a way of swing weight. Ping used to do that quite regularly. They had their badges were in gram increments, and that was what you put on the back so that you weren't adding anything extra, and you did not change the aesthetic of it, which I thought was brilliant. However, nowadays you don't see a lot of that. So what I would do is on a especially if they're moving, if it's super hot out, in some cases I would expect it because the adhesive is giving. If they do pop off, I wouldn't, clean off the adhesive as much as you can, and I wouldn't be opposed to with a couple dabs of glue. I wouldn't try and glue it solid because it's got to be able to flex a little bit, or some of that spread on adhesive maybe, or that you can get at a hardware store and put it on there and stick it right back on. If nothing else, you might be able to call Mizuno and ask and see what they want and get their customer service, and they should be good there. Here we go. Bob from Long Island. Bob. Here's Craig. The lie adjustment on the putter and the baby and the baby cut with the driver drop 10 strokes on my last Metro. Craig, holy cow, man. That is awesome. We like the lie. It's amazing what a little lie adjustment. Craig came in and the thing was sitting, and oh man, we fixed it so he was stroking it correct. So that's awesome. Well done. Well, the forged, if the set, Brandon, if the players is a standard, let's say like a 27-degree 5-iron, then yes. But the forge isn't exactly all that strong. Isn't all that strong? Let me look here. I just happen to have their book. They're forged. Well, no, the JPX forged. Yeah, it's a little more player's distance. You'd be right. 24-degree 5-iron, 45-degree pitching wedge. I'm all down with that. I can use all the distance I can get. Tom, well, hello there, buddy. How are you? It's been a long time since I've seen the name. Sorry, have it in a set of irons. Doesn't, okay. Yeah, I would do both. I would do a little bit lighter, a little more flexible, a little bit more loft, and you should be good. All right. We got you taken care of. Here's Mark. Thoughts on combining Sterling irons, lengths 5 through 7, and then 8 in a regular length. I say Sterling because I'm a lefty. Hoorah, lefties. I think I would think that you're just defeating the purpose of the single length, to be honest, Mark. The whole idea here is, the 5 through the 7, the 5, the 6 are probably the most difficult irons to hit. The 7 is going to be the same. So in reality, what you're asking is 5 and 6 being like the 7 and the 7 through the sand wedge regular length. And no, because what'll happen is the 8 through the sand wedge are made there. What happens is the technology in the upper irons is more flexible and to shoot the ball higher ball speeds, where the lower end is, we'll call them, and Washawn says the same thing, he dumbs down the club to make it not fly as aggressive as it does in the top end, more up, not so much out. And so if you went shorter, you would be struggling with distances, and it would make them shorter. And that's the whole idea of the single length, right? So if you made them shorter, it would be just harder to get to. Man, I just meant, here we go. We did that one. Here we go. Art of War. No, I have not. No, I have not. And honestly, those guys should be, that Hickory National Championship should have been done by now, I think. But it'd be a lot of fun. Those guys are a unique group. There we go. We got Scott in Michigan, Mark in Florida. There's Brandon in Texas. There we go. My buddy. No shaft changes, but you bought an Alpha double diamond. Woo! Also put an 8-gram extra weight at the grip end of my irons to gain control all my hands. See, we talked about that, right? We talked about that, and we knew that's where that was going to go. That Alpha double black diamond for you aggressive types, that's going to be the way to go, right? That's going to be the way to go for sure. Here we go. Dave, when going from a driver shaft to fairway woods is 10 grams heavier normal weight. Yes, it is. That's been the norm forever. Now, when you get guys that do distance club stuff, guys want you to hit the fairway wood longer. They will drop it and make it the same. All right, they will. But as a tradition, because of the weight of the head versus the driver, weight of the head versus the 3-wood or the fairway wood, plus the added weight of the fairway wood shaft, and then you're taking the length off, to balance it out so it all comes in together. It's like that. Now, with all that being said, there's very few companies out there that make an actual fairway wood shaft. And that was basically the bane of a 3-wood existence. You know, if you can remember back really far, and when the heads were small, people were cranking drivers and missing 3-woods. And that was because the driver was very short, the head was real small, and the 3-wood wasn't far behind. And then the drivers got really, really big, and they got really, really long. But what happened was the 3-wood head got bigger, but the shaft length did not, or the club length did not. And people all of a sudden started smoking the 3-wood, and they're like, what in the heck is happening here? Again, case in point, was Sean let out was it called a 515 GRT, and that thing was out driving drivers in a lot of cases, and it was because it had actual core and a flatter face, a little taller. It was just a monster off the tee. Anyway, but what happened was he also had a fairway wood shaft, and it was made to take that little bitty head with that more weight and all that torque so he would get down there. And so what was happening in the tour, they were, they would hand him these 10-gram heavier cut down driver shafts, and they felt terrible. And so what was happening was I believe they were taking the next flex up, if there even was one, and just shoving it in there and cutting it short, and that way it could handle it. Well, now, with technology the way that it is, they have fairway wood shafts that are specifically designed for that. And there's few companies out there. The one I know for sure, because it's sitting back here, is Acra. They do it, and they do it through their lines, and it's a good shaft. Whether it be the I-Series, the FX, or any of that stuff, they're good shafts. And they're designed for fairway woods, and that's what makes them better. All righty, let's see. There you go, 8-iron length. And Mark, you're not going to get hurt with that at all. I mean, honestly. Now, he did make it, for 8-iron length, but I always bucked him on that stuff, and I always fell between a high 8 and a low 6, I guess, to be based on where the grip would end up, and a lot of 7s. But he also put that weight port in the bottom so that you could use lighter clubs or lighter shafts and still get good swing weights. It was a good design. Here we go. Loving the EQ1NX. It's a big improvement. I figured it would be. Well, the thing is, when that thing's so, how did I get on with Sterling? It basically, in the beginning, with Sean and Sterling got together. And he's a PGA pro that challenged Tom in order to make a single length, and he did. And so this guy ran with it, but he carried it in the Sean lineup. And at that period in time, I was doing a lot of Sean work. It was a good club. It was good. I mean, it was hanging tight. It was outperforming a lot of other clubs. And people were digging on that, and it didn't come at an extraordinarily high price point. And so I got in there with him, and he and I talked about it. I think I may have said this once before. I actually showed him what I was doing in order to figure out whether or not a guy could actually hit single length. And so I have a 6-iron and a 9-iron, one of each kind, right? And I have them up here, and I have them hit it. And they've got to produce a certain distance gap before I will let them have it. Because if they can't, if it's too small, then there's no need, because it's just they're not in the right mind for it. Not that they're bad golfers, they're just not in the right mind. Because as golfers, we got to be in the right mind. But that's how I got on with them, and we talk every once in a while. Here we go. Yes, it can. It most certainly can. The swing weight being too high or level causes issues with swing path. It can. It also can cause you to deliver the club either open or closed or inconsistently, or you can pull down, do you have to be exactly correct on? I personally do not think so, because if it was tried and true, when we did this whole thing right here, the swing weights were on the iron were at C9, and I did them at C5. Now, certainly heavier at a higher swing speed is a little bit better. If I was a little smoother, I probably could have hit them just as fine. And you'll see that. I'll probably release that one towards the end of the week. But it's important. But yes, it can. I mean, if it's just too heavy, and really it's more of a yes, but I think it's more of a function of total weight, right? Total weight, I believe, is really where you need to be. And once you get the total weight right, then it becomes the balance, which is swing weight. But yes, it can. Okay. Bobby Smith, what do you think about the Jumbo Max grip? I recently switched to them, just trying them out. Took a little getting used to, been loving them. I like the feel and more club control. Yes, the guys out at Jumbo Max are pretty good folks. They started out in Warsaw, Indiana, which was just down the road from where I went to high school. So it was really they're really quite nice guys. And the new stuff that they've got out with the new textures, not the wrapped ones that they started with, but the new ones with the textures. The new ones with the textures, I think, feel way better. And they've changed it that what they call the juniors are now the smalls, and they've moved everything up one. I think feel really, really good. Now, just like anything else, you can get too big, but my playing partner, he switched to him, and he swears up and down by him. He says he gained 10 yards by it. Now what has happened? Well, in a sense, if you've noticed that the Jumbo Max grips are actually heavy, except for the new light ones they came out with, but as a whole, they're heavy. And so you're effectively back weighted, which goes back to the long drive question of if it worked with one, yeah, and a long drive guy. And a lot of those guys would back weight their clubs because, number one, a lot of them were they were very aggressive swingers. And when it was here in your hand, it acted as a lever, and it created a little bit more ball speed. So not only is he hitting it better, but he's hitting it faster. So and because it's such a bigger grip, once you get by the idea that you have to really squeeze down on it because it's so big that you don't have to do that, then all of a sudden things start turning around for you. So yeah, I think they're going to be really, really good. Personally, I'd go with the low taper models and try those out just because I'm used to it now. But yeah, it's a nice grip. Glenn's in the house. How you doing, buddy? All righty. Look at that. This is a new one. I got just about 10 or 12 minutes left, and I've gotten through everybody. So we're going to go back again. So a question for you guys, and I know I'll see it later. So in golf club reviews, right, when you see people do golf club reviews, it seems the popular golf club review is a guy that will take it, give you a little bit of this is what they're supposed to do, hit it, and give you an opinion. Are you guys looking for more information? Like how, because what I do is I tend to measure them. And then I tend to analyze them as compared to my swing and trying to figure out how they get to you guys. What is it for you guys? Here's the question. What is it for you guys in a club review that is important? What are the words that you like to hear or the things you like to see in order to really enjoy a golf club review? What would make it better? Okay. And what we're talking about now, I'm not talking about a comparison. I'm just talking about, okay, Jim's he's got the new SELs, and he's gonna tell you about them, and go like that. Or are you more about this shaft, that shaft combinations that go with it, or what is it that you're looking for? Let me know down in the comments below in the video when the video comes out, and ask the question. Because I'd like to tailor it to something that you guys like to see. Because you guys are the ones here. I might as well, you tell me what you like, and we can switch some of that programming around. And then in the shafts, now that I have that other the other profiler, the what would you like to see in shafts? All right, what are you looking for a profile? Are you looking for how it accelerates through the club based on how you saw me swing? Uh, are you looking for something like that? Again, what would you be looking in shaft reviews as well? And then that way we can get it out and get something that you would like. That I think that would be cool. Here we go, Glenn. Glenn, I hope he has a lot. I hope so really how, there was a group called One Iron Length, and I think they were started it out, but they didn't have much in the way of control of the iron. It wasn't very good. It very well may be now. Then Sterling came along, and right behind him was Idle, and he was getting DeChambeau, and DeChambeau was working with him, and Idle did a lot of work to get him where he needed to be. There's a lot of design that goes into this. It is not easy to have a club head the same weight, and you got to make it go different. And he did it, and then right behind him, Cobra jumped into it with both feet. Right, they had a forged and a cast model, and and they're the ones that are really getting behind it, and nobody else really jumped on board. They're all kind of waiting. They're all kind of waiting to see how Cobra's going to do. And I guarantee you that if they see Cobra taking off with a sales line that nobody's got, one or two companies will start putting it out as well. But I can only hope that that's what happens, right? I can only hope that's what happens, and make them jump on board to a science that is shown to work, right? Except for putting on the 40 pounds and working out every day and drinking 6 and 8 shakes, but the philosophy behind it. It might help people golf better quicker. Okay. So we got, I'm trying to think what we got. So what have you guys seen in the way of releases? I know we've seen Mizuno out because I've been showing you. We're seeing a little bit of a Callaway release out. Has anybody else seen anything else out there? I'm kind of thinking that we should be seeing something TaylorMade released some of their stuff in that 770 combination, right? And who have we not seen yet? We have not seen Wilson. We're seeing who else is out there? Ping, they got the 410s. We haven't really seen anything different from them. Although their putter line is changing. If you guys haven't seen that, I saw that on my Golf Spy. That was pretty cool. I'd like to see some of that. Trying to think who else is out there. Those are some of the bigger companies that are out there, and we'll see New Levels releasing their product. They've gone through all the numbers now. They're PF 1s, 2s, and 3s. That ought to be interesting. He has softened the edges a little bit, and we ought to make it look good. And we should go from there. Here we go. Brendan. All right, Callaway out with a CB wedge. Yes, they are. And what was that? It was the wedge, the easy to hit wedge. It was kind of a combination between the PM grind and their Sure Out. It's kind of a wide soled club that's got a cavity back in it. I don't think they're calling it a Mac Daddy, but it looks interesting. It does. It looks interesting. I like the look of the PM grind because it just looks like it's so easy to hit. But the only thing that was weird about it is that Pro set that it's got on it. And I don't know if it would look any better if it didn't have it, though. That's really the shame of that. But I do like all that bounce it has on it. I do like the toe on it. And if this wet, I find it really hard to believe that a cavity back wedge can be as forgiving as that is. By design, I would have to say, yes, there's going to be some forgiveness because you have perimeter weighting, right? And perimeter weighting makes higher MOI. It just makes it better. And okay. But I do like the I do like that idea of it where the wedges are blades and you get off a little bit, just a tiny bit. You notice how you get penalized in distance, maybe not direction, but distance. So if you can get a little bit more zip and the zip turns into spin as well as airtime, I think it's a good wedge. What's really making them better is that they have that monster wide sole, so you just can't get jammed up. And that's really the big key. And that's the reason why the CBX is so powerful now. It's got that sole that does like that. And that's what makes that club so easy to hit. Okay. Will Wilson's Pro Staff blades harder to play with, or you make a better player? Oh, so the chicken or the egg thing. If you buy blades, will it make you? Are they harder to play, or will it make you a better player? Well, they are. They are. So, Brian, the blades by design, doesn't matter who they're from. By design, uh, are harder to hit. Right? They got a sweet spot about this big around. Right? About that big around. And if you're off on it just even a little bit, your eye teeth hurt. And you're penalized greatly with distance. Now, can you get around a golf course? Yeah. And if you're a student of the game, really want to do better, all that kind of stuff, you will become better by design. Now, they're also, the blades also tend to be heavier. So you really want to make sure you have a shaft length lie combo that matches it. All right. So a lot of times these will be with heavier, stiffer iron shafts where you may not be that person, and maybe lighter will make you hit them better. All right. And just kind of case in point, the Mizuno HMBs, they're a blade-ish kind of look, but they're wider soles, and we put lighter grips or lighter shafts in them, and people are just nuking these things. So from a Wilson perspective, what they have is very much a player set, very thin soles. So you're going to learn to pick a ball versus hit a ball. Now it could be your thing, but and if you don't become a better player, you're going to know it quickly. I think that it would make you a better player, but my first question is why would you put yourself through that? I would think that you would want to graduate into that versus force yourself into that. All right. Matt, if I was fit for green dots upright, should I have my wedges bent similarly? And I would say yes. Matt, so what? I would say yes, only because the clubs are getting shorter. If they're totally in line with you, then yes. And you shouldn't have any problems with it. Now, worst case scenario, maybe only one up, because if you're one of those guys that stands off to the side and hits from the side and kind of scoops it up, then flatter. I would say stay that. But if you're a guy that approaches it just like you do your irons with only slightly opening on certain shots, then yes, or the 2 degrees up to be that way. I would go with that. So what do you think about the CBX, Glenn? Is it a thing, or is it easy to hit, right? I mean, do you feel it? Is it springy, or does it just feel better? I mean, what do you guys think about that one? That's be something interesting to see. Okay. Well, guys, we might actually make it. I got about a minute. If there's anything else you guys want to throw out there, we're. I do have one more story before we go. So, I went to the doctor for just an annual checkup, and I'm getting old, and he says, "Okay, time for the flu shot." I'm like, "Okay." They got the super duper flu shot. It's got 4 strains in it. No big deal. Give me this flu shot. And then he says, "Oh, it's time for the pneumonia shot." And I'm like, "Well, I've already had pneumonia." He says, "Yep, and you're more susceptible, so you need that, and it'll last you a while." All right, put in that one. And so, bam, bam, I get my shots, and I walk out. Of course, you're like, "Oh, all right." And normally that flu shot hurts for a day or two, and you feel like crud because you get a little bitty flu. Well, the flu shot was just fine. It was that pneumonia shot. My goodness. I thought it felt like I had a knob this big on my shoulder or on my arm. Next day we were playing at that Shriners and I just could not get rid of that pain. And every time I hit a good shot, the guys would come over and go, "Hey, good job, buddy," and hit me right here. About collapse me. And I was like, "Oh," and they go, "Oh man, I forgot." And I was like, "That's okay." It was actually ended up being kind of funny towards the end. So that was good. All righty. So Matt, what's he say? How forgiving? How does it feel in loft distance price point? And wood. So Matt, so if you're really interested and you've been a player, I would go get fit and just see what happens, and you'll see what the difference is in the shafts. Getting fit is very, very important, and particularly in blades. You want to make sure that you're narrowed down to what your current technique is or your current misses are, that kind of stuff. All right, last two, and we're done. Very easy, not springy, consistent. Good. I like that. Brendan, there we go. Have in the Grant, Calais, great field. Good. They're on the money. Very well done, guys. All right, guys. Again, we're at the 6:30 number, so we got to go. Again, if you would, please make sure that you like, subscribe. Don't forget tomorrow at 7 in the morning, my time, I will be releasing another video. Please take a look. And I'll probably release another one towards the end of the week. We'll try and get into that again. And then we'll always, and then again next Monday, we'll certainly do this again. And as always, let's see your scores go low.